Hi Alice, thanks for coming.
Sure, Simon, it is no problem. You said on the phone that you had an idea. What is on your mind?
Well, I said idea, but it is more like a revelation. You know, I have been with a church group over the weekend.
A church group? I thought you were an atheist.
Yes, I am, or was. I'm not really sure anymore. I feel like I have been elevated to a higher level now. I have got so much to tell you.
Well, this is big. Okay, so tell me, what is this idea of yours in a nutshell?
It is called Sciencism. It is a religion based on science.
That is it. That is your big idea. Has this not been done before?
Actually, it has not been done before. Believe me, I looked. All the existing ideas I found reject the religious components. One example is Sciencism, which is basically atheism. It is not religion.
What about Scientology?
Scientology is a religion, but it is not science. It is a corporate entity. It seems like the only science in Scientology is the science of how to get people to part with their money. See, the interesting thing is, many have tried to unite science and religion, and all have failed. I guess it is sort of like how scientists tried to unite general relativity and quantum mechanics. But I think I'm getting ahead of myself. I should probably tell you what the idea is, before I make grand statements about it.
Haha, yes, I think that would be a good idea. Well, I am skeptical, but I will hear you out. You know how I enjoy debating philosophy. Okay, lay it on me.
Thanks, Alice. So as I said, Sciencism is a religion based on science. I have studied religion for quite a long time now, and it seems to me that religion is a necessary component of our lives.
How do you figure that?
For example, several studies have shown that religious people are happier.
Really? That's interesting. I will Google that when I get back home.
That is a good idea. In fact, I will be making a few assumptions which would take forever to debate, so we will not debate them now. You will have to Google them and see for yourself why I have made these assumptions.
Okay, that is fair enough.
Second, religious people are generally healthier and live longer. This is another assumption.
Well, okay, I will have to Google that too. Anyways, so what? People in prison are more likely to be religious. And religious people tend to be more violent. Are not most of today's wars religious?
What you say is true. But there is the problem. None of the existing religions have got it right. All of them succeed in some areas and fail, sometimes dramatically, in others. And based on my assumptions, atheism and other forms of non-religion also succeed in some areas and fail in others. The whole point of Sciencism is to succeed in all areas and fail in none.
That's pretty ambitious. So where does God fit into all this?
A religion needs a God, and Sciencism is no different. In Sciencism, science is God. In fact, those who believe in Sciencism worship science, in much the same way that religious people worship their gods. For example, scientists would go to a church of Sciencism one or more times a week and pray to science, sing songs to science, perform rituals, testify to others about their experiences, teach science, speak in tongues, attend Bible study and so on. The exact list of activities hasn't been revealed yet.
Scientists? Sybil. Haha, that's pretty clever.
Is this a good time to reveal that I will henceforth be informally known as Scimon?
Haha. Let me guess, you are the leader of Sciencism? Like a pope?
I guess you could say that. It is fitting, since it is my idea. Or should I say science chose to reveal itself to me?
How would you get people to join this new religion? Seems like you have a huge obstacle there.
I have thought of that. The only way around it is what I call the first generation, which I will henceforth abbreviate to FG. The first generation of scientists will have to exercise what is known as suspension of disbelief, which I will henceforth abbreviate to SOD. It is what we exercise when we see a movie or play a computer game. It is the same thing a Star Wars fan does when he attends a Star Wars convention. We will not debate the appropriateness of exercising suspension of disbelief in Sciencism, because it is likely to put people on the defensive.
Oh yeah, suspension of disbelief. I remember reading about it on Wikipedia. Makes sense. But what's this about putting people on the defensive? What do you mean?
If I were to tell the Star Wars fan that SOD in a Star Wars convention is the same as SOD of the FG in Sciencism, the fan would say oh, but it's not the same thing. He will get defensive. He will try to distance his SOD from the SOD of the FG.
Oh, now I see what you are getting at. Anyway, tell me more about the first generation. Is there a second generation?
Second and subsequent generations will not need to exercise SOD, because they will be much like other religious people. They will have a scientistic worldview, much the same as how a Christian would have a Christian worldview. To a Christian, the scientistic worldview will not make any sense, similar to how the Christian worldview does not make any sense to a non-Christian, and also similar to how a Star Trek worldview does not make any sense to those who are not Star Trek fans. We should discuss this idea of first generation in more detail later.
Yeah, that always strikes me as funny, how each is convinced that their worldview is correct and the others are wrong, even though all the major worldviews are mutually exclusive.
The reason why they are convinced that their worldview is correct is because they have been raised since birth to believe in that worldview. Humans are programmed to believe in whatever worldview they are born and raised in, being a Christian, Hindu, atheist, Islam, and so on. Only a very few manage to break out of that programming, and when they do, it will be because of various forces, both internal and external, that push them away from the religion of their upbringing.
I see you included atheism in that list.
The majority of non-religious people of today were born and raised in a non-religious environment. If circumstances were different, they would be religious. These people feel no pressure to change their belief system. They would feel no pressure to change their belief system, even if they were born and raised to be religious.
How do you know all this?
Let us just say that science showed me these things.
Maybe you made all this stuff up and claim that science revealed these things to you.
Maybe. Where does the Pope get his revelations?
He makes them up, obviously.
He would not say so. He would say that his God reveals to him. That is the official line. Which may or may not be true, but it makes no difference to the 1.4 billion Catholics in the world. It is the same with Muslims and their imams and Jews and their rabbis.
You're saying that it does not matter where the Pope gets his revelations from?
In the grand scheme of things, truth does not matter. Truth and falsity only exist in the human brain. And not everyone can even agree on what is true and what is false. It's simply not helpful to think in terms of true and false. Far better to think in terms of what works and what does not work. Take the Pope for example. You and I may agree that what he believes and says is false. But at the end of the day, his ability to command the behavior of 1.4 billion Catholics in the world is what matters. Having that kind of power would be a dream come true for any scientist who wanted people to wake up and take action on global warming, eliminate trans fats from their diet, exercise regularly, quit smoking, and so on.
That is for sure. So, why do people need this religion? Why cannot people find their own way? Develop their own life philosophy?
Not everyone can do it. Can you fix your own plumbing? Can you represent yourself in a court of law? Can you build your own house? Can you raise your own animals for meat and milk index? Of course not. Everyone specializes, and we delegate those tasks we cannot do ourselves to others. It is the same with religion. Religious people delegate their moral compass to religious leaders. Non-religious folks like to criticize religious people for not being able to find their own way, but that's like a vegetable farmer criticizing your average city folk for not being able to grow their own vegetables.
Good point. I have never thought of it like that.
It all boils down to empathy. Come on, I will tell you more.